Welcome to day 30 of our January challenge 2020 and our final day of looking at how we can combine parts of the simpler version of Sylvia Wood's arrangement of Pachelbels Canon in the key of D to fit those together in a way that can sit underneath an overall performance where you can feel confident with what you're doing and that what you're doing is adding in without having to get too caught up in the more complicated parts if you don't want to. Okay, so my plan today, I'm going to play the opening line, which I think is a perfect starting place for everybody. You wouldn't want to have anything else sitting over the top of that. Then I'm going to go into the line 2, where we actually did octave Fs, if you remember, initially, or just the F on its own, and then we brought in the note a third below. I may not have mentioned octaves to you actually. You could, instead of just going, you could add in an octave F. The tricky thing with this version is that that then gets in the way of this arpeggio, so probably actually just stick with that single note, and then on the repetition we do D and F, like that. Okay, so I'll play through that. Then I'll go into lines 3 and 4 because we did have a little look at those, didn't we? So I will play through lines 3 and 4, and then I will go on to the penultimate section, so the last 8-9 bars, and play through that. And I'll try and do it seamlessly for you to maybe play along with and see how much of that you can do. And what I'd like you to try and do is, no matter what, keep going with at least that move. If nothing else, add that underneath what I'm doing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do for you today. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so the interesting thing I did on the page turn for me there, and if you chose to do just focusing in on what we've taught over these last few days, you might make it so that you don't need to turn a page. You might copy a page purely for the sake of arranging it onto 2 pages for yourself. So long as you own the book in the first place, it's okay to do it to avoid a page turn. But what I did, to lead it more comfortably, I ended on the bottom of that first page with. Now to suddenly leap to a D from that would feel weird, whereas actually the D and F that my left hand did over the page gives me that F. Da, 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 dum. So I just ignored the D and then came in from there with what happens next. Okay, so just thinking a bit musically about the combining of it. Another thing that's useful to note is if you look at the top of page 6, top of the third page of the piece, that line of music there with the repeat is the same as the second line of music back on the first page. So that's also useful to know that you can bring that back in as well at any point. I really hope you've enjoyed sort of just dipping into it over the course of this week. We do have exciting plans for this piece this year, and you have time to really get to grips with it with as little or as much as you want. So this was really just kind of a taster to get you into the groove of it, if you will. What I plan to do tomorrow for you on the 31st, final day of January, is I'm going to play Pachelbels Canon all the way through as written. And what I'd like for you to do, your challenge, is to try and join in, keeping that bass line going as a bare minimum, trying your parts underneath some of the other parts and see if they feel like they still match up and see how they feel. And then you can start making personal decisions about what you might like to play when, with regard to if you were to play alongside others doing the same piece. Okay, thank you. Well done.